Okay, good morning. Welcome to session 3 of Swiss Manager Pairing Software. So, yesterday we just gone through the basic of the tournament dialogue, basics of tiebreaker, and the basic results system where we entered few players manually and we just went on to pairing. And also we have seen a few things like what happens when the pairing list is not sorted and it needs to be sorted before pairing. So this is what we have seen yesterday. So now the total number of rounds, it was uh, 3 earlier. So now I am making it as 5. We shouldn't change this pairing option during the game. So before the start of the round, we should set the total number of rounds. So yesterday you have just set it for 3 in order to make sure for 8 players. So right now the players, they remain the same. uh, Suppose consider like there are few players, so don't take this as after round 3 or after the end of the total number of rounds. So consider this is the first round. So even though we have just paired for third round, consider this is the first round and the pairing is all done. It's all set. And there's one player right now coming up, they need to just enter. So at that time, we need to enter that player and the total number of players right now is 8. The count, you can see that on the bottom right, the count is 8. So now we need to set the player as buy. If there are 9 players, we can set that player to play with him. So right now what we'll do is we could enter that player, we could enter him manually, stating that is called Vinod. So this player, now there's only one player, we are setting a new player because the pairing is done. So we are setting a new player. So we are going to set a new player and this Vinod, click onto it and set buy. That's it. So Vinod will be a buy. So if this is the case where there is only one player coming up. So Vinod has come here, have set a buy. So just click on to set by. So the option is found in pairing set new player. So now when we look on to the results have already been done and Vinod has already played and the list results Vinod is a buy. So this is the case where when one player enters. So this is an example where only one player comes in and that one player is set as a buy. So suppose consider there is an already player who has a buy. So now what we will be doing is, now the pairing is already done. One player has already been set as buy. Now we need to set a new player. So this is the case where there are already odd number of players and a new player is coming up. Earlier we saw when there are even number of players, it is already paired. Now there is an odd number of players and one player have already been given as buy. Now the new player comes in. We need to set the new player to the player who already had buy. So now we first enter the name of the player. We input manually. Say it's Xavier. So I'm just giving some random names in order to make sure we go with all the alphabets. Now pairing, set new player. We know Xavier. So we need to click both the players. We'll be giving yes. So Vinod and Xavier have been clicked onto it. So this is the option whether Vinod needs to play white and Xavier as black, then you need to pair it. If Xavier needs to play white and Vinod needs to play, you need to pair it. So how you can suggest this? So for example, consider like this is the first round. So if this is going to be the first round, you need to set in such a way that during the first round, we have seen the first top seeded player has white and the next player has black, then the next white and next black. So in that case, if Vinod comes to the left hand side, you go for this pairing. If Vinod needs to comes to the right hand side, you need to go for this pair. So here I'm randomly giving this pairing option. This automatically gets in and we could close it. So once the result of this player is done, we click on to the result, round result, and provide the actual. So one is number one is white wins, two is draw, and three is black wins. Right. So this is the basics when the total number of players is odd and even. So the example what we have seen is when there are even number of players, there is one player coming up and we have paired them and given a buy. The second option what we have seen is there is one player who has come up and there is who is already having a buy and there is the other player is coming up. Now we have seen how to pair both. Now there is the third option when there are three players coming up. So and two or more players. If there are two players, we'll pair both. If there are three players, we'll pair two and give one as buy. So probably there are only three options. When one player comes, it's a buy. When two player comes, we pair both. And when there is one player who is already given a buy and one needs to be paired. So now the third option, it's a very simple option. Enter manually. So consider that was y, and this is z. Now we have entered them. Pairing, set new player, click this Y, click the Z, and since X comes here and V comes here, we just make sure, okay, X is here, so Y goes to the right hand side. We just simply pair it. That's it. So this is one of the toughest work in Swiss manager pairing because the reason why I say it's toughest is normally after the pairing is done, few players come up. Normally after the results have been, pairing have been displayed, few players come up. This is what normally happens. So these are the three cases when the pairing is done, when after the player comes out, and this needs to be done before the next round of pairing is done. If the player, if you'd like to make the players play in this particular round, we could just enter them. Suppose consider the player have started playing, the players have already started to play, and if we are going to enter the new players, now you need to decide if the player has to be given a buy, you can just give a buy for them. That's totally fine. But if there are two players, but the total number of time for each round is 40 minutes, which is 20 minutes each, already 20 minutes have gone. So now it's up to you to decide whether you need to like set them for pairing with 10 minutes each or the player who has already been given a buy. So consider like the player who has already given a buy, he came earlier, but just because the player who came late for 20 minutes, we can't just give 10 minutes for the player who has come already. So now you could just go for different options. You can ask the player whether you would like to play, but you'll be given with only 10 minutes. But if you don't want to give some like uh, backlog, or if you don't want to miss the opportunity for that particular player because the player who has been given a buy, he might have just given a name list early. Just because this player who came late, we can't just give some options, additional options or features to him. So there is one option called temp. So this is something like what to say. You need to be like be we can't just do that in an official events. This is applicable only for local events. So consider suppose this is the actual case. For example, input enter player. So this case happens very rare. So I just wanted you to like uh, make sure what happens because the round have started like around like say 20 minutes early. So the player, there is one player we have already given him by input manually AAA. So this player, like I'm setting this as a new player, I'm just given him a buy. So this is the case. So the buy have been awarded. Now after 20 minutes or 25 minutes, only 15 minutes left, a new player comes in. So just because there are 15 minutes, we can't just give 5 minutes each because this player A who has considered like this is the first round and the player have already given his name. Now there is one option called a temporary player. where we just form it as a virtual player. And also the new player who have come and who have just come now, he can also be awarded a buy. For example, so this is the actual pairing. So this is the actual pairing. So now A have been given as buy. Consider there is a new player coming up, B, B, B. So we are going to award the player B also a buy and this A player a win. Okay. So this is something like it's not uh, almost it's not right because that player either needs to be paired or the person B needs to be paired from the next round, not from this round since he has come late. That is the actual point. That's the player who has comes late. We could just ask them to play from the next further round. So not from this round. So for example, this is the third round. We can ask the player to play from the fourth round. But based on few cases, if the player has it and if I come and sometimes what happens is the player sits in a different board and play and the player doesn't know like the round has started. Sometimes there are few cases where need to have some uh, basic some moral values to the players if at all like some tournaments like we might not there might not be an audio system, the personal assistance is not available and we might there might be some issues from our side also. In that case what we need to do is so careful here, enter players. I am inputting manually. I am giving temp. So this temp, you give some random name and next B. So what happens here is I am setting a new player and for this A and temp, I am giving an S. This A and temp had played and B, I am giving a buy. So this this is only when there is only 5 minutes. For temp, you give any name which is not available there. Okay, so we give it as temp. Now, while setting the result, give win for this A. So actually, this is the buy. So the best thing to do is A should be awarded a buy and B should be played from the next round, which is fourth round in this pairing. And in generally, if it is going to be the first round, A should be awarded by, and you could ask gently that B could play only from round two since the round have already started, and A have given the name earlier. We can't just give him 5 minutes. If you are going to play a new game, then everyone will get delayed since just because we have arrived late, we can't just make them uh, play for 40 more minutes and make the other players wait for the next round. This is what generally we can do. And when thinking in a different perspective, B might have been late just because of not intentionally. Again, like coming back to that intentionally point, not intentionally. The bus might have been late. There might be an like a hospital emergency or rush or something like that. Anything it may be. So based on this situations, you could use this option. And more importantly, what you need to do is this stem here pairing, exclude player. We have seen computer pairing, set new player. Manual pairing, we won't be do that. We won't be doing that. Exclude player. So here, exclude player, we need to remove this temp on the next rounds, remaining rounds, because that temp shouldn't get in because temp is something a virtual player who have come in the middle just because this opponent. So now don't forget to do this pairing exclude player. So you could see the report exclusions where whose name has been removed. So temp has been removed here. So the star represents we have removed those layers over here. So we'll get back to you once again. Sorry. So we have seen four different options. One is when there are even number of players who had already played, there's one player coming up. So we'll input enter player, then you'll be setting a new player. You'll be clicking on to that player to give a buy. That is the first option. The second option is when there are two players, we enter two players, click those two players here, and we just pair based on white or black. So this suggestion should be based on something like you need to look at the alphabets. You need to see whether they come to the left or right. As we had seen earlier, like as during the previous session, we have seen A, Akshay, B, C. So one, the top sheet comes to the top left, then right, left, right. Similarly, this suggestion, when there are two players, we need to pair either the person who comes to the left or right. We need to be careful while figuring out the pairing. The third option is when there are three players. So one will be set as by and one will be other two players will be paired. So the final option here is when the player has already set by and one player coming up and almost during the end of the play. And what happens here? There's a temporary player. And after this temporary play is done, actually this is not a proper way, but still I'm just telling you this is not a proper way. Either we need to make sure like whether this is the proper case, and in that cases we could do this. So once the pairing is done, so everything is ready. So we have seen so far how to create a new tournament, and in that tournament, what are the options available over here, and the tie breaks, the number of victories, what is available over here, and the input. We are entering the players. We entered it manually. Everything is done, and the pairing, how to like set a pairing and set new player exclude. So this is the we have seen. You could just we don't want to focus on this. I'll just say what it is. So this is the exclude player. This is to reactivate the player. So suppose consider a player is telling like okay, I won't be available in the third round. We could exclude him only on the third round. So suppose consider the player have told I am leaving the tournament. So suppose he comes changes his mind on the next day. If it is a 2 days event, no, I would like to play again. So we could reactivate them. Forbidden pairing is these pairings shouldn't happen. Suppose consider during the last round, if there are same club members who could just uh, like sandbagging. We have seen like they could just make a draw, or they could just give the point just because of same club members, or we could shouldn't like pair for those players. Like the pairing shouldn't be done. So this is the forbidden pairings where we'll be using it. So this is the basic things of those pairing ideas, and now we have couple of rounds. Okay, once again, coming back. So whenever there is change or new entry, this warning shows up. Player list not sorted. So we need to input and resort starting rank list. Now coming back to the pairing, we just click on to start and that's it. Okay. So list, pairings, the pairing is done. And look, the temp, it's called a withdrawn. So that's why it's there's an hyphen. We shouldn't think it as a buy. So it's a withdrawal and the player is not being paired. So now we come back the results. Either is 1-0. Now we go for this results. So for this withdrawal, we are supposed to give 0 here. So there will be few change while showing this withdrawal option. Look, while I'm clicking get, it shows 1001 option, but in withdrawn, it's either showing 0 1/2. So 0 1/2. This is the player is withdrawn, so there is no need of providing anything. Now we end it. Normally, what happens is there are 4 rounds done, and before the 5th round, we are supposed to provide the standings. So it's just called interim standing list. So sometimes it doesn't comes up. So we could just go for ranking cross table. Go for it. The ranking cross table after round 4, either we print it because just the opponent wanted to know who stands first, who's doing well. So always this interim standing list should be displayed. Either like it may be based on request on few rounds, or like we could upload it on chess results. So this is what we could do. And this uploading chess results, like I haven't done this here because just this is let me hide this panel. Okay, this is the upload chess results. So this one. So if I click onto it, the results gets uploaded, or we go for internet and upload it. So this is what upload chess results. And once the upload is done, You can see this on chess results. Now I haven't uploaded anything, so it's not showing up. So if we want to look at anything, like I just show you an example. Suppose- So just showing you some new screen. Okay, so this is the new screen. And here, if I am gonna look at here, so oh, just a minute, it's not showing up. Okay, this is the test tournament. The test event. I'm opening a new event which has already been done under 11. Okay, so now can everyone be able to see this new shared screen, or am I showing the old one? Share, let me share it. Okay, so here you could see the option. So here the option is coming up, which is called go to chess results. Because since I have already uploaded it, I'm just clicking onto it. Now it shows go to chess results. So now it shows everything and doesn't hide, it shows everything. So obviously this has all the pairing, this has all the results. And normally what we do is we provide a tie break, and this tie breaking mechanism, like it shows these three options here, but the final ranking list after tie break is something different. Okay, for under 11 boys, here it shows Maulidharan, Arjun, Rohit, Latik. So this is just because we have provided a different tiebreaker. We just provided a tiebreaker at the end. We don't go for the book holes. In regular tournaments, the book holes will be considered. Here, since the students are getting only once in a year opportunity, we just go for this tiebreak. We just go for a separate tiebreaking system. We just ask those players who are on same points, we ask them to play. So Maulidharan, Arjun, Litik. But the actual result, what you hear is Maulidharan, Litik, Arjun. So Litik and Arjun have been given with a different tie-breaking system, and here just made them to play a kind, and they have played it. So that's the difference. So this is what the uploading looks like. So this uploading option enables only after the first upload. So now I'm not going to upload anything. So this option works on upload, and you can click on to upload to chess results, or the button what you have seen. The other option is there's an option called customize lists at chess results. So this is like customizing results is something like when you see the default option is there will be only three tie break system. There won't be more, only there will be three tie breaking system. And this club name will not be displayed in the pairing list. So normally this is the actual default value. So when there are only three tiebreakers enabled, so it shows only the points, direct encounter, and the book holes. Now I need to enable this book holes cut 1 and SP. And during the play, like when there are in the pairing list, sometimes what happens is the players has the same names. Here we have the same name, something like Karthik or something like Kanishka, and the same name like gets displayed again and again. So suppose consider like we are getting the same name, but the club name or the school name might be different. So if we are enabling this, then there won't be confusion among the players. they'll be coming, suppose for example, during the last event, like we had an issue, like one player having the name Shruti, and the other player is also Shruti, and we just displayed them with the name of the school near it. And another player is Kavya M or Kavya T, both are Kavya. So we are unable to differentiate. So in that cases, we could enable the club list. This is one option to enable the club list, or else if you have a confusion among the players, for example, if you are unable to differentiate. So what we can do then is, let me close the old Swiss manager option. I'll go here. Okay. So suppose consider in the input update players, there are two players with the same name. For example, both are a. Now for this example, I give them as Kavya. This is also Kavya. So now the problem here is we know this serial number, but the opponent doesn't know, won't be looking at the serial numbers. So what we need to do is we need to see what their club name or school name is. Suppose consider if they are from the government high school, and the other kid is also from the government high school. Now there's a confusion. So now suppose consider like this player's date of birth falls on 2008. The other is also falling on 2008. If this player is, for example, say 2012, then it's totally okay. If this player is from 2013, then it's okay. I'm just right now making it as 14. Okay, for instance. So now it's okay. Now we can just give it as Kavya. She's 2014 girl, and this Kavya is 2013. We could just give this as a difference. But suppose consider both have the same this this happens only in the different cases, and both has the same initials TT or something like that. Now we need to provide this is Kavya serial number 1. This is Kavya serial. Now here it has the serial number 1 and 2. The actual serial number differs. Maybe like it differs during the middle of the game. So even after resorting it, if the serial number comes somewhere near 7 and 8, like this, 6 and 7, we can just provide 6 and 7 here. But after someone comes and change the name or enters the name, again it differs. So we need to tell them this is one last case. Here definitely there won't be any confusion. This happens only when this club name is same, the date of birth year is same, and when the initials is same. This happens only very rare, very rare. And in that case, we could just give the serial number, tell the first person that, okay, look, Kavya, you shouldn't change your name and play. You need to sit in Kavya serial number 6 and Kavya serial number 7. Or else you could just add the father's name or mother's name or whatever it is. Just the only thing is you need to make sure whenever the player's name looks same, you shouldn't like confuse them, because sometimes what happens is during the first round you wouldn't have noticed it, and they might have like been sitting somewhere, and we need to make sure we ask them to sit in a proper place. So this is very important. So or else like what happens is first round one Kavya sees some other Kavya's name and sits in one place, in another place they just sit back, and this is what happens. So in the final round, okay, this is the withdrawal is done. Okay, this is the last round of the pairing. Again, sort it shows note the starting ring list is not sorted. This is the final round still. Why I'm just giving you the same example again and again is you need to make sure the starting rank list have been resorted. Okay, here comes. Pairing numbers cannot be changed after the fourth round has been paired according to the articles. Our pairing article rules, it shows it doesn't done. So we don't have any other option. We just need to pair it. Start and pair it. We need to go for the results. So let's go for the final results. And this is a withdrawal. So once this is done, we need to verify with the arbiter result. We need to click on to the standings. Okay, standing is not getting displayed. We need to go for the ranking cross table. So this is the final thing that is done. So here the book holds, the win is 4. Here, since it's a draw, it comes here. So the book holds, so 13.5. So here 15. So Gokul Nath, it comes, okay, the points, okay, sorry. So points here is 4.5 and 4. I thought the book holds is better here. So points here is 4.5, 4, 3.5. Okay, here comes the next point, which is 3. Okay, the next point, okay, for Akshay and Kavya, Akshay the 13.5, the book holds cut one is 13.5. But for Kavya's area number 6, the cut one book holds is 12. That's why it went down. So here the first basic book holds is 12.5, 12, 11.5, 10. Here 12.5. Okay, here look at 12 and 13. The rank 12 and 13, it shows 11.5, 11.5. So there is no difference up to SB. So either we could award the same thing or we need to implement some other tie-breaking system here. In this case, so we need to go for input, setup tournament, tie breaks. This doesn't work. So only for those two, we need to give for some other tie break option and make sure direct encounter is not applicable for them. So we need to remove. This is applicable only for those 11th and 12th person. So here I'm including most games as black. So now I'm just going to the list, going to the ranking cross table, going for the preview. So here, okay, the difference is 10. So just because, and you need to make sure the other tiebreaker doesn't cease. You are just looking after this 12th and 13th. So just because in black, this Kavya numbers 7 have played with most wins as black, they are coming up. So this is one such tiebreaker where you could go most tiebreaks as black when the basic tiebreaker doesn't works. So this is the basic option. And once this is done, the Swiss manager pairing, everything is completely ready and you are good to go and use this pairing mechanism. So this is completely done. And the basic tournament, input players, pairing, resort, update players, set new player, or if you want to exclude a player, exclude them, and go for the list, go for the results, take it, upload it, and look at that on the chess results website. So if you want to customize, you could go for the customize, or else you could just leave it. So this 3 sessions, which you need like almost 99% of the pairing option gets covered here. And this is what the basic rules of the Swiss manager pairing option is. Fine. So let me, thanks for the session. Let me stop the recording.